and welcome to episode 107 of the Social Liability Podcast, the podcast where we discuss those folks in our lives that violate the social contracts that we all agree to live by. I am your host, The Raspberries, with my co-host, The Buck, bringing you new and interesting stories from the far reaches of the interwebs. And it's a lonely buck today. It's a single lonely buck.
Oh my gosh. It is indeed that, man. I got to tell you, and I'm not even shitting you here. I've had a caregiver now for a long time. And that's caregiver Katie. She's the love of my life, blah, blah, blah. This is the first time in 5 years that I've been 100% alone without any adult supervision. Like, I'm telling you, it's quite vindicating and liberating in a way, if you get my drift.
Except you're calling me like every day going, I didn't know by myself.
I really am, dude. I'm not doing well with this. I'm trying to sound like a big boy about it, but no, I am grossly, and I mean grossly, codependent on caregiver Katie. And I am, 100% fucking handicapped. Kind of makes sense. But I didn't realize just to the extent, I just thought it was physically codependent. I didn't realize that she was like my emotional support wife too. Like, what is this?
Well, at least you have a dog on your lap. You're good there.
I do.
Which one?
I do.
Which one is that?
That's Rupee. She's my baby.
So you have a dog named Rupee and you have a dog named Zelda.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Nerd.
Nah, you know what? I think it's legendary.
Like a legend of Zelda?
That dog is mildly above average at best. I would hardly label her a legend.
All right, Buck, well, let's jump straight into this. And here's what we're going to start out with today. Every once in a while, we get a story, and we find out later on that it was fake. Right? We've done that. Luckily,
we have.
We have done that. Luckily, you sent me something for the show, and I was able to vet it first.
Oh, thank God you vetted it first, because I sent it to you right off of somebody else's Facebook wall. I was like, man, this is a crapshoot, but I'm going to go for it.
Well, here's the thing. It was originally posted by the City of Cincinnati government Facebook page back on February 26th, and it has been making the rounds for a while. And here's what it reads. The Fugitive Task Force is looking for Ronnie Williams Jr. of Cincinnati for fraud. He has been he has convinced 3 local churches that he is Ed Sheeran, and even went as far as to perform The Shape of You in front of the Christ Community Church last Sunday. When the pastor was asked why he believed that the real Ed Sheeran would perform for $35 and a sandwich, he said he just assumed that he had been on tough times. If you have any information as to Ronnie's whereabouts, message us immediately. I mean, he does look like Ed Sheeran if Ed Sheeran had been on meth for a few years. But
yeah.
Here's the problem. This is being shared all over the place. So much so that it even popped up on one of your friends' Facebook pages, and you shared it, and then you sent it to me for the show. But here's what we got from junkie.com. Sorry to inform you, but the church scammer Ed Sheeran impersonator is not real. On Wednesday, a photo of an alleged Ed Sheeran impersonator turned fugitive went viral online. Shared by the news satire Facebook page Portsmouth, Ohio Official, the post about a runaway named Ed Sheeran Williams Jr. gained attention on both Facebook and Twitter. Accompanied with the photo of a man who could look like Ed Sheeran if you squint your eyes hard enough in a dark room. The post read, the Fugitive Task Force is looking for Ronnie Williams Jr. of Scotaville for fraud. He has convinced 3 local churches that he is Ed Sheeran, blah, blah, blah. But he's performed for $35 in a sandwich. The fake post quickly went viral on Facebook with 41,000 shares on the original and 330,000 likes on Twitter within 24 hours. Sadly, the tweet was correct that the Ed Sheeran impersonator, why can't I say that word, who performed for a measly $35 in a sandwich was indeed fake. The Portsmouth, Ohio official Facebook page is clearly tagged as satire parody and even describes itself as a news and entertainment satire web publication for entertainment purposes only. Despite the clear statement that the post was not real, publications still ran the story as true. Most notably, Today fell for the fake photo and did a segment on Ronnie Williams Jr. and his extraordinary church swindle. Newsreader Tracy Vo introduced the segment when she claimed that the major manhunt was underway for the fugitive. After uploading the clip on Twitter, the Today Show deleted the video after finding out it wasn't real. Addressing the misstep on air, co-host Carl Stefovic and Allison Langdon said, "It turns out the fake news story, it was a fake news story all along. We did fall for this one. It was a satirical news site, but it was still a good laugh." Referencing Today's gullibility, Portsmouth, Ohio official shared the video on their own page and said, "Once again, I've managed just to make something up from the top of my head and get major news outlets to run it as the truth. This is the reason why it's a political mess that we're in. People just blindly believe everything." This is the second time the Portsmouth, Ohio official has duped a major news company into reporting their fake news stories. In 2019, Fox News ran a story about another Portsmouth, Ohio celebrity imposters. This time was the American country music singer Travis Tritt. While the wannabe Travis Tritt did not perform for sandwiches in his made-up story, the impersonator did accept $2,250 before he fled because he did not know any songs by the artist. So I managed to do enough fact checking in the 2 minutes it took me than Today. So we are now a more reliable news source than the Today Show and Fox News.
The only thing that I was able to think of was, what if you were the mayor of Cincinnati and you're just sitting there one morning eating your cornflakes, talking to your wife, talking about shit with your kids, going to school, and then boom, the TV comes up, this article on the fucking Today Show about this manhunt going down in Cincinnati, and the mayor's just sitting there going, what? Like,
I didn't hear about this.
No one. Nary a word. Like,
Started the intro again. But I'm the mayor, goddammit.
or like the chief of police.
Or hell, the fugitive task force is like, wait a minute. Did I miss a meeting?
Yeah. Everybody's like, the fuck?
Did I miss a meeting, guys?
Like Cincinnati.
Whoa, Buck's gonna die. Look at him. He's dying over there. He's coughing. He's hacking. The dogs don't seem to care. The one is still sound asleep.
No. She's very well. I thoroughly pester this dog.
Well, even the one sitting behind you didn't even move an inch.
That's because that dog doesn't actually like me either.
Dog's like, go ahead and die. That's an extra meal for me.
She's like, he never feeds me anyhow. Caregiver Katie does that for us too. Like, but either way, we digress. I was choking on crackling oat bran. I'm sorry, but the mayor of Cincinnati, the chief of police, like, I think it's great that this just slipped by. It just proves like what kind of society we are. It's like, is this a monumental win for free speech, or is this an abysmal failure on humanity? Like, one can only guess.
This is the same. whenever I hear someone say, just do your own research, it doesn't matter what they're talking about. It doesn't matter. When your research consists of going on Facebook or just whatever the top YouTube, Google result is, that's not research. That is not research. And clearly, these agencies are hiring people who have that mentality that if I look at it on the internet, it must be true because they're not doing anything to vet these stories. Same way that people don't do anything to vet research. Like when they said, "Oh, this scientist came out and said he messed up and it's all a fraud and it's a sham," and the dude's like, "No, I never said that." And it's been shared on all these different places. That's because it's what you want to hear. And the same thing could be said for these satirical websites. The guy does look like a meth head Ed Sheeran. So I mean, it's funny, and it's like, oh wow, Ed Sheeran's falling on hard times, and we like it when people fall on hard times because we can point at them and laugh. Not that we should, but that's human nature. It's what we do, and that is the way society is nowadays. And everyone's like, I saw that. That's what I want to see, so I'm going to say it's the truth. Learn how to do actual bona fide research, and I despise doing research papers in college. Absolutely despised it. It was stupid. It's like, I know all this information. Why do I need to, do all this? Well, it's because it teaches you how to research, how to vet out stories, how to vet out sources, determine what sources are scholarly in nature and which ones are satirical, for God's sakes.
There's a big difference between research and recreation, and people need to know where that line is and adhere to it before they just go running their fucking mouths. But either way, there's not really anything to score on this one. I mean, it's just satire, but
it's satire, but it's fun. That's something you said. We have fallen for stories before,
right?
So I'm not saying we're immune to it. It happens, but if we ever do find out a story is fake, we do call ourselves out on it. I just want to point that out. Our next story.
We will eat a shit sandwich. We will eat a shit sandwich if we have to. That's about it. But what do we got up next, Rats?
Our next story comes from WSBTV.com, Atlanta's News Channel 2. Newnan mother arrested for leading police on 130-mile-per-hour chase with 5-month-old son in backseat. Newnan police have arrested a woman they say sped away from a traffic stop and led police on a 135-mile-per-hour chase with her 5-month-old son in the car. The incident started on March 30th at Bullsboro Drive when police tried to pull over a car that had crossed the center line twice, nearly hitting other cars. Police attempted to stop the driver for failure to maintain lane and for not having a working taillight. Police said the driver, 22-year-old Barbara Ann Mary Wright, sped away from the police and got onto I-85, where she led the police chase at speeds of up to 130 miles per hour. She eventually got off the highway and drove to a home where officers were able to take her into custody. Wright said she fled from police because she had a warrant from Fayette County. Police found Wright's 5-month-old son in a car seat in the back of the car. She was taken into custody by family member. Oh, he was taken into custody by family members. Whoa, I started reading that way wrong. After police arrested Wright, they smelled alcohol in her breath and attempted to do a field sobriety check, but wasn't able to do so due to Wright's extremely excited state. She later registered a blood alcohol level of 0.108 at the jail. Wright was charged with DUI, attempting to elude police, endangering a child, reckless driving, failure to maintain lane, speeding, improper lane change, no tail lights, no insurance, violating her learner's permit, and open container. Mom of the year, folks.
Wow.
Mom of the fucking year over here.
We've covered some real crappy parents in our tenure, doing this comedy monkey go round, but that's got to be in the top 5 right there, man. Like I would say top 3. Like that is just wild. Whoa.
Certainly
all that.
Definitely adding the child endangerment charges are on there. I think they need to do a lot more than that. I think they need to pursue finding that child a safe place to live when she actually gets out of jail.
Yeah. Yes. And it sucks to say it, man. I normally don't I'm not an advocate for taking a child away from their parent, but there are certain circumstances where it really is for the best interest of the child. It really just is.
See,
This woman.
I have zero sympathy for DUI on a good day, and I hate the whole idea because people used to say this shit to me all the time. Well, it could have happened to you. You just haven't been caught. No, it hasn't. Couldn't have. That'd be impossible. I have never driven when I was intoxicated, mostly because I've never been intoxicated. But that's besides the point. I have been in situations where I have, been affected by medication or something of that nature. I don't drive. So don't tell me, well, you just haven't got caught. It could happen to anybody. No, it couldn't. You make the decisions, and anybody who gets behind the wheel when they're intoxicated, I'm sorry, you've made the wrong decision, and you need to face the consequences for that. I have zero sympathy in my life for anybody who has a DUI. Sorry, too bad, so sad, you screwed up. But when you because at that point, anytime you have a DUI, you're endangering everybody on the road, not just yourself. You're endangering the population as a whole. But now this freaking waste of oxygen has a 5-month-old in the backseat that has no say over anything, can't do anything to prevent itself from being in this situation, and she is just out being a shitbag and endangering everybody on the road and a small child. And who knows how many other children are in the cars that's going on where she's flying by at 130 miles an hour.
That is just absolutely despicable behavior, man. I normally I'm not even going to say I normally reserve the 5s for, special case. No, this is a 5. 100. It's not just speeding. It's not just a DUI. It's not just endangering a child. You've got like the hat trick of social liabilities all in one fuckaloo here, lady. You get a 5.
I could not agree more.